Hey guys, so excited for this Sunday as we are going to be wrapping up our series on Jude. Russ is going to be preaching again. He and I just walked through a sermon again, and I can guarantee you something that I'm personally pretty excited about. There will be far less talk of cults and no talk of castration. So I stepped into the middle school boys group and there was only one thing on their minds. So I'm excited that won't be the case for this week. This week, Russ is going to be kind of walking us through the rest of Jude and really kind of dialing in on the idea that for us to walk in the faith, we are guided by people that influence us, and they can be either false teachers or true teachers. And it's hard to determine who is what, and that's what Russ is going to be walking us through. That's going to be the whole emphasis of your convos. Those are already built out and ready to go, so please look those over. Let me know any edits or changes that need to happen. And what we are really driving at is this question of, if we need leadership when it comes to following Jesus, we need examples and inspirations. That's what we look for. How do we determine the right from the wrong? And I think that'll be really, really key. What we're going to be hyper focusing on is making sure that each and every student has somebody that they look up to as a spiritual mentor. Now, here's the thing that I want to encourage you with. Some kids will be bold enough to say this in their small group. Many won't. You are a spiritual mentor in their lives. And probably a big one. A lot of them are going to say their parents or a teacher or something. And I don't want you to walk out of that conversation feeling discouraged that you should have been on that list. Because you are. And I hope you know that. The way that you're influencing these kids is huge. It's a big deal. So I want to encourage you with that. A couple of things that I want you to make sure that you're aware of so that you know what's coming up is, first off, for Sunday night, we're going to have a pretty normal rhythm and routine. We are looking at a forecast of snow. And as we all know, it just takes a little bit of snow or even a rumor of snow for this whole area to freak out. So I live 5 minutes from the church. I and Lishi will be coordinating back and forth, figuring out if we have to cancel our Sunday night programming. You will be the first people to know. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to end up canceling anything, but I want you to know it's on our radars. Second is that during Sunday night, we are going to play a game that we've played before. We've got a new iteration of it. It is Boomers versus Zoomers. So we'll get Russ and a couple of our more baby boomer generation folks, our small group leaders. I'm going to ask you to be a part of this game. And the three of you are going to compete against 3 Gen Z kids, and we're going to see who knows each other's generation better. It'll be a lot of fun. It's always a lot of laughs, and I think it'll be great. The other thing to know is that for the next 2 weeks, we won't have student ministry. We have Super Bowl, and the big thing that I want to encourage you to is, y'all have a home. You have a TV, probably. Invite your small group. Invite your small group to watch the game with you. Maybe you're really into the game and you want to watch actual football with your kids. I think that's amazing. Maybe you're not and you're here for the commercials and for the food. Then either way, invite your kids into that space. Have your kids over at your home and watch the game with them. I think it'd make a huge difference. Many of our kids probably aren't going to have somewhere to go or somewhere to be on that night, and they could be with you. So we won't have student ministry that night. Then the following week, we also won't have student ministry because of midwinter break. We haven't ran student ministry on the midwinter break weekend for quite a few years. The last time that we did, it was basically nobody. We had a bunch of volunteers and very few kids, so that's why we cancel it from then moving forward. So after those 2 weeks of break, we are getting back into it and we are jumping right into the deep end. We're going to have 3-week series where we are having our annual sex series. This year, it won't be on gender identity as in the LGBTQ community. It won't be on celibacy and waiting for marriage. Instead, this year is going to be all about what does it mean to be a man and a woman of God. How did God create the sexes to interact with each other? This primarily comes from quite a few of our students, our boys students specifically, have been listening to Andrew Tate and gravitating towards some of the things that he says. And Andrew Tate comes at his information from a quote-unquote Christian background. And I say that pretty loosely. I don't want to ever judge somebody's salvation or their actual relationship with Jesus, but the stuff that he teaches is really hard to make work with a Christian and biblically based worldview. So we're going to be getting into that. I'm really excited about it. I've been reading a lot of books and listening to a ton of podcasts on this subject and listening to different authors and theologians and reading like crazy for this. And I think it'll be really good. And I hope you're along for the ride with this. I hope that all of us can step into it, especially myself, with a degree of openness that we might be wrong. And that we are stepping into this as fallible people who are trying to interpret Scripture the best that we can. And so I think it'll be a really great time. But would you please pray for that entire series? For myself, for the teaching, for the discussions, for our students. We're going to be potentially stepping on some toes, and I hope that it's just all in all a really life-giving 3 weeks, and it guides our students to like Jesus. Guest appearance by the dogs. But guys, all of that, I love getting to serve with you, and I cannot wait to serve with you this Sunday night.